So real quick. So a skinny nerd, a talentless hack, and an unfunny loser all walk into a bar. And the bartender says, "Hey, Pat." You really need to get out of here. You're too young to drink, and I also really just don't care for you. So good evening, everybody. For those of you that have been living happy lives so far, I do regret to inform you that my name is Pat Corcoran. All my life, people have been making fun of me, and recently I decided to start doing that too, and I still don't fit in. So this act is called The Last Laugh, partly because it's likely to be my last major performance here at Seminary, and because it's likely to, I know, it's likely to make you reminisce about the last time you laughed and make you wish that this time was even half as good as then. I want to thank my friend Joe for getting everything set up tonight, organizing everything. I actually remember talking to him about it. I was like, "Joe, you should really run the talent show. You know, you'd be good at it, it'd be great for the community. I really need this. Please, Joe, please, this needs to happen. It's all that I have." And, after he picked me up off the ground and got me to stop crying, he agreed. So thank you, Joe. If we could just give him a round of applause. Feeling a lot of happy vibes, a lot of positive energy in the crowd tonight, so that's why my first bit is going to be about death. Yeah, it's a very taboo subject, but it shouldn't be, in my opinion, because really death is just another part of life. You know, it's something that we all go through and experience. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. You know, in a way, death is a lot like puberty, except I'll probably come out of death looking a lot better than I did coming out of puberty. And we use a lot of weird phrases and metaphors when talking about life and death. You know, when someone's alive, we say things like, "Oh yeah, they're still kicking." And you can kick anything you want, but for some reason buckets are the one thing that are just completely off limits. I barely even kicked the thing, I didn't even knock it over. Sorry dude, everyone gets one bucket, you use yours, that's it, you're done, have a team. And we say things that make death seem not so permanent or conclusive. Where's Frank? "Oh, Frank, he's no longer with us." But Frank's right there, he's just super dead. I could put on a puppet show with Frank right now, he is very much still with us. We say things like, they passed. He passed. He passed. You're making it sound like the waiter at Olive Garden came over and asked if he wanted cheese on his salad, and he said no. I mean, this is a big deal. This dude is dead, not switching lanes on the freeway. But, you know, I'm making light of the situation, but there are some bad things about death. I could admit that. There are an awful lot of things you can't do when you're dead. You can't see your loved ones. You can't move around a whole lot. Very limited legroom. Real estate is just awful. No cup holders unless you get that stuff pre-installed with some kind of premium membership. You can't drink orange soda. You can't watch videos on the internet of dads getting hit in the nuts by their kids with a wiffle ball bat. A lot of the finer points in life, they are gone when you die. That is true. But that's all under the assumption that there's nothing after you die, which some people believe there is, some people believe there isn't. Some people believe that our entire existence actually takes place within this advanced computer program, and that we're all being watched or even played by highly intelligent, superior beings. And in which, if that's the case, I'd just like to take a moment to speak to whoever's playing as me. What are you doing? What is this? What were you thinking? I mean, when you booted up the game, you're like, "Oh, the character creation interface. This lets me make him as attractive as humanly possible." Why would I do that? I'll just scale it on down and make him a solid 5 out of 10 on a good day. What's this next one? Athletic ability, that probably won't come in handy. We'll just put that on down at 0. Vast intelligence doesn't seem like it'd be good, so I think I'll just set the difficulty to very hard. I enjoy a challenge. But enough about death, let's talk about life. I'm gonna talk about my life because that's the one I'm most acquainted with so far. I feel like I've accomplished a lot during my time here at Sem, you know, my 15-year marriage to the Blue Knight. Although, we recently have been speaking, and we're going to start seeing other people soon. But, you know, I made a couple of class films, told a couple of jokes, depending on the dictionary you're using. Little known fact, perhaps for good reason, I actually served as our class's freshman president, and then the roughly 20 times more capable Madison Schweitzer took over for the 3 years that followed, so you can safely consider me just the dirty stain on her otherwise perfect record. Sorry, Madison. And I'm not entirely sure how I got that job in the first place. You know, our freshman year, we had that hurricane that messed up the first week, and we didn't get to have our freshman retreat or our orientation that you usually get when you come to the upper school. So on election day, all the candidates get up and they're talking to the students about how they're going to do their best to get this retreat back for us. And then I get up and I'm like, nah, I don't think so, guys. I'm just not feeling it. Probably not in the cards. Tell you what, though, I will do my damnedest to get the hot chocolate machine back in the cafeteria. Because you know what? We're all busy people. I don't have time to put the cocoa powder in myself and mix it up. You have things to do. I have things to do. So why don't you all just sleep on that? Let it simmer with you, okay? Peace out. Corcoran 2012. I don't know if my haphazard campaign and my Slavish appearance struck a chord with some people, but about a week later, I find myself elected, and I'm like, did not anticipate this. But you know what, in the end, I worked the hell out of that presidency, okay? My policy making and legislation will go down in the seminary history books, and I can hear you already, Pat, what did you do that was so monumental? What great change did you bring onto this campus? Well, I'll tell you what, in the year 25th goddamn teen, why don't you walk over to Fleck, go into the cafeteria, in the drink area, and see that there's still not a hot chocolate machine there. It's still not there. I raised my hand at one of the meetings. I was like, we should really get that back. And Mr. Hardy was like, oh my God, who even are you? No, you bring the water bottles to these once a month for 9 months and then you go home. That's what you do. Don't forget it. I think we'll get that machine back though one day. It's just got to work its way up through the dark underbelly of some government. You know, it might be at our 25-year class reunion, but progress is progress. Another thing I'm pretty proud of is my elimination track record. The first 2 times the school played the game, I made it to the very end, so naturally when the 3rd game rolled around, I was like, okay, you know, let's ride this streak. Made it 5 days in before being absolutely slaughtered. And if you add up all 3 times the school played the game, I played that game for a total of 91 days. That is a third of a pregnancy, okay? 3 months. I lived this shell of an existence where I had to avoid people and be as unnoticeable as possible. I mean, thank God that's over. Definitely grown to appreciate SEM a lot more as the years have gone on. One of the best things about SEM is that it's a very culturally diverse place. There is no intolerance here. The only N-word you're going to hear at SEM is no win. And you're going to hear it a lot. I mean, check your last name. If you haven't looked in a while, that's probably what it is now. It's like Vietnamese Smith. But I've learned definitely a lot about myself too, especially my relationships, those specifically with the opposite sex. I've noticed that there's often a lot of romantic tension between myself and girls. That is, when they realize I'm trying to be romantic, things get rather tense. Usually I have to end up filling out some sort of paperwork. But I've been working on my game, and I've been writing these lines in hopes that I could share them with you for you to use on, you know, the objects of your affection. So here's the first one. Hey baby, I'm the 8th result for Pat Corcoran on YouTube. That one mostly applies to me. Fun fact, has not worked for me, so you probably have just as good of a shot with it as I do. Next one. Hey girl, why don't we make like my parents and make a mistake that we'll regret for several years? I want to share the real of it. And lastly, if there's one thing I love about a girl, it's her eyes. I really prefer it when a girl has eyes. But sometimes it's the other way around, you know? Sometimes people feel a certain way about me and I can't reciprocate that feeling. Like for example, sometimes when I send my emails, I sign them all as Patrick, and all my teachers respond with Pat, like, excuse me, this is all moving a little bit too fast. So there seems to be this misconception, this belief that I have a pessimistic view on life after seeing my first couple of acts, and that is not true. I mean, for me, there is zero hope. But for the rest of you, I'm still pulling for you all. You know, I have hope for humanity. I believe that there are entire groups of people on this planet that would get along insanely well with other groups if they would just give each other a chance. You know, like hipsters and deaf people. Hear me out. Hipsters would love deaf people because chances are the deaf people have probably never heard of it. And the deaf people wouldn't have to listen to hipsters talk about their vegan hybrid cars that somehow run solely on kale and coconut water. I am almost certain that that is a thing. Astronauts and therapists. Houston, I have a problem. Well, let's talk about it. Did your parents hit you? Were you hugged as a child? Are you controlling in alcoholism? I like to think I would get along really well with Miley Cyrus because we both shamelessly whore ourselves on stage and are a huge disappointment to our fathers. Speaking of disappointment, a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting in my car at the vet waiting for my sister to bring the dog back in from her appointment. And I'm just trying to pass time. I'm on my phone playing whenever, you don't care. And out of my right peripheral vision, I just see a whole bunch of movement. So I look to the right and I see there's this girl, and she's just like trying to desperately get my attention, frantically waving money at me. And I'm thinking, finally, you know, a girl paying to be with me for once. So I'm looking at her and I'm like, me? Me? And I realized there's a little bit of window making communication a bit difficult between the two of us. So I roll down the passenger window. I'm like, what's up? And she looks at me disappointingly, which for the record was not the first or last time a girl would do that to me that day. She sighs and she says, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were the pizza man. And then she walked away, presumably to go find the pizza man. Do you understand what it means to be me? Okay, I managed to disappoint a complete stranger within no more than 30 seconds. We barely spoke 15 words to each other. That's a new record. Unless, of course, you count the time my mother peed on a stick and read the result. I wasn't even around for that one. So I really don't want to end both of my talent show acts on jokes about my parents' sex lives and my botched conception. So I'm gonna leave you all with this. 2 cannibals are eating Pat Corcoran's dead body. And one looks at the other and says, "Hey, does this taste funny to you?" "No." And then they keep eating. Thank you guys, you're great.
I love you, Pat.
Pat Corcoran. Ladies and gentlemen, bring down the house. Yeah.
That was really good. Oh my God, I've seen some bad comics, and you're really good. I mean, you flowed. I mean, there was nothing, you didn't stop. There was no having to look at a card to memorize what you were going to say. Is that all your own? I mean, you just came up with all that? Yeah, I'd love to be in your house on a daily basis. Fantastic.
I do get the benefit of you on an almost daily basis in the library, and you are this funny, but I think that it's really important to, as self-deprecating and dark as your humor is, you are a wonderful person, and you have an intensely loyal group of friends, which is why I think that you did get elected that first year. And I think that, that your humor sometimes downplays what an awesome human being you are. And I think that I agree with Mr. Granger that the amount of work that you clearly put into this routine is very evident by the effortlessness that it seems. And thank you so much for once again sharing yourself with all of us.
I miss you so much in the art room. On a daily basis, you cracked me up. I was sitting here thinking, where the heck is his notes? How does somebody just walk around and do this and keep talking like that? It was fantastic. And I don't think you can get more original than that. And rather than think of this as your last performance, I think we could invite you back as a guest judge next year.